Hello, friends. This is Kristen. Today I want to shine a light on something that you maybe haven't ever thought about. And today's question to open up this conversation is, what is the unlived life costing you? You, the unlived life. What is it costing you? The reason that I'm going into this question is because I think that most of us feel this uneasy sense of chaos and crumbling and institutions that we had relied on becoming unreliable and famous people that we looked up to were finding that they had feet of clay and even things like famous people and entertainers that we're losing now. People that were, I mean, this dates me a little bit, but people from my childhood that were in the generation before mine are dropping away, fading away now. And so all the things that culture and society has given us to look up to, suddenly there's not much there to hold on to anymore. And so the question really becomes this one about your unlived life. It's my belief that the solutions to the problems that we're facing lie within us, that we have all been endowed with pieces of the puzzle to create the world that works for everyone. It's my belief that there is a plan for the earth to work for everyone. And in order for us to achieve that vision, we each have to bring forth our piece of the puzzle. And if you have not done that, then you are living an unlived life, the life that you're meant to live. You're not living it. And so today I want to talk about what it takes to reconnect to that part of you that is the guiding light, the living flame, if you will, toward that life that you're meant to live. So when I was in college, I had the extreme good fortune to be chosen to work in a graduate level laboratory. And what we did in that laboratory was overall called behavior genetics. We studied the relationship between the chromosomal makeup of an individual and their mental, physical, and emotional health. So we would do correlations. And this was a cutting edge field at the time, and I was so excited to be part of it. And I really wanted to continue on after graduate school, after undergraduate school, into a graduate program to study behavior genetics. And in order to get into graduate school, you needed an SAT score of 1200. And even though I took it 3 times, I was never able to break the barrier of 1200. I got very close. I got within 10 points, but I never crossed over that barrier to have that 1200 score that it said on the application that that's what you needed in order to apply. So I gave up on my dream of going to graduate school. And for the next years, until my daughter was born, I worked, but I never worked at my capacity. I had a college degree, but even in those days, it didn't qualify you to do all that much. And so I worked at jobs that were very unfulfilling and didn't at all match the skill level that I had in terms of my knowledge and my expertise. I mean, couldn't there weren't a bunch of behavior genetic labs to go and apply to even work for. So this was more of an academic thing in those days. So my dream died a sad death. And then my daughter was born, and that was an opening up for me of a whole new aspect of my purpose for being. When I became a mother, the flame that had lit my dream of getting a PhD, I don't know, transformed or whatever, and suddenly being a mother made my flame burst into life. And I really dedicated myself to it until my daughter was a teenager. And I was very fulfilled. And I felt very honored that I had an opportunity to be what you call stay-at-home mom. I had little part-time jobs to make some extra money, extra spending money, but I was fortunate to have a husband that took care of our financial needs, and so I was able to be a full-time mother. And I was very satisfied and fulfilled by that. But when my daughter became a high schooler, it was clear that I wasn't her person of choice anymore. And even though that broke my heart, I knew that this was the way of growth and maturation, and it was natural for her to prefer to spend time with kids her own age and not her mom so much. So I went back to graduate school and got a master's degree in social work. And for 12 years then, I served my community as a social worker in two very different, but in my mind, very important roles. And that was fulfilling to the extent that it was. But then I was laid off in a reduction in force, and instead of getting another job, I decided to follow what had become my passion, which was coaching. And so in 2010, I became a full-time life coach, and I've been life coaching ever since. So I want to talk about what it's like when you live in a condition of having your flame dimmed by your circumstances. And even though many of you have been highly successful in your careers and achieved very great things, and you've been out there swimming with the sharks and competing with men and going through all the things that women have to go through in the business world, which is basically, like I say, swimming with the sharks, or what I mean by that is playing by the good old boy rules that our culture has put at the top, the pinnacle. And so for many of us, we have had to deny very important parts of ourselves in order to be successful in this culture that doesn't value the feminine side of the business world. And this has come at a price. And for most of us, we don't even recognize the depth of the price that we've paid. But for many women that get to be in their 50s and 60s and on, there's a recognition that the success that we've achieved did not bring the expected fulfillment. We may be at the top of our career ladder. May be making the money at the top of the ladder, and we have things, we have cars and homes and such. And yet there's this feeling of emptiness, this feeling of, is that all there is? And this is really very devastating to the nervous system, the biology, which is why we gather to talk, because the recognition that the mind and the emotions and the body are are inseparable. And so when the mind says, why is this so empty? Why is my success so empty? And the emotions say, life has lost its luster. I feel like I'm looking at the world in black and white instead of color. Well, when the body hears that, it goes down into this contracted state that we've been talking about, this freeze state, where the regeneration and the healing and the aliveness that is so important to our well-being and our health and our hormones and our vibrancy, those things are suppressed. And so this feeling of having your flame, I mean, in the worst case, a woman can be saying to herself, I feel like I'm dying inside. And this is a message from the biology that the aging default is running the show and destroying the biological fabric of your well-being. So this is a very dangerous position to be in unconsciously. And I say that because when we're aware of it, we can take steps to mitigate. We can take our biological aging propensity out of the default and put it into a conscious state of connection to this living flame. Because even in the worst case, even for those women who feel like they're dying inside, the reality is that flame has never gone out. That flame is fundamental to your being. If you are still walking on this planet, if you're still living here and drawing breath, you still have a flame. But it may be heaped over with disappointments and failures and people pleasing and putting yourself last to the point that there's nothing that the disconnection with the flame feels real enough that you don't know if you even have a flame. You say, "What flame? What are you talking about, Kristen?" So that's why this work is so important to me, why I feel so passionate about it, because every time I reconnect a woman to her flame, I'm adding, in my own view, I'm adding to the list of problem solvers and solution makers that I think are here to help reorganize and build new structures and create new cultures and dominate the thinking of the people of the world. Because many people are not meant to be leaders. Many are meant to follow, but who are they going to follow? Who are they going to listen to? Are they going to listen to a heart-centered, flame-driven person? Or are they going to listen to a voice of deception that says you're nothing and you should go to work and come home and watch TV and drink or eat or shop or gamble or whatever it is until it's time to go to sleep, and then in the morning you get up and do it all again, and these lives of quiet desperation. This is not the way that our life is meant to unfold, in my opinion. And so it's very important for each one of us to fan these flames of inner fire, inner to live a life on fire. That's really what I've been starting to say lately, is to live a life that's on fire. You remember when you felt that way when you were young. You had a vision and you had hope and you had optimism and you had the sense that something big was possible for you. And it's life that's beat you up and beat you down and heaped over your flame. And we can resurrect that, friends. We can do it. You can do it. So, um, as we learn to live in this connection, the hormones that are the hormones of connection, the youthing hormones, the DHEA, the growth hormone, the oxytocin, the relationship hormone, these things are triggered and built by the body when you're in that feeling of connection to your flame. And that's why it's so important that then the aging default is thwarted. It's it's defy that default, and your body will create the vitalizing chemistry that keeps you feeling and looking younger. So I promise you, it's never too late. The body is remarkably resilient, and when you give it half a chance and you move it, get it back into motion, and you strengthen it with some kind of weight bearing exercise, or doing gardening or something that requires your muscles. This is all message about to the body about live, thrive, flourish. And this is what we want to do with our time. Let me just check my notes here. So let's do our guided practice. This is just, we have busy lives, and I know that you may not want to devote tons of time to this regeneration process. And I don't think that it takes that. I mean, the more that you devote to it, the better, right? That can only do you good. But even 3 minutes a day is a good start. It's a signal to the body, reset, recharge, revitalize. So today we're doing the revitalization practice. So if you're in a place where it's safe to do so, look in a mirror or imagine looking in a mirror. And if you're imagining, you might want to close your eyes. Place your hand on your heart, physically do this, and bring to mind a moment when you felt alive. You can imagine this moment, what it would be like if, or you can imagine a time when. The mind, the body doesn't know the difference between a memory and something that you imagine. It responds equally to either. So let yourself find your way into that moment. Breathe into that feeling of aliveness, imagining it getting brighter and brighter and stronger, and telling yourselves out loud if you can, this is the state of aliveness that I'm choosing. I'm alive. I'm radically alive. I'm letting my flame rekindle. I'm letting it reignite. I'm letting it grow brighter and bigger and bolder and brighter. And I can feel it, and I can feel it reflected in every cell of my body, and it's activating me and energizing me and giving me the strength and giving me the courage and giving me the willingness and giving me the openness to feel where it is that I'm being called to serve. Now let that open out through your heart and just send this energy out. Send it out into the environment around you and just imagining that it is blessing the environment that you're in with your own aliveness, sharing it because there's no end to this flame. It's an eternal flame. So you can't, it can be dim in your experience, but it's never dim in reality because it's eternal and it's the spark of life that belongs to you. It's only to you, but you can share it. And as you share it, you only fan the flame of your own experience of it brighter and brighter. And pushing your hand against your heart a little more firmly and saying, my gifts are mine. I allow myself to be reconnected with my gifts, with my purpose, with my vision. I'm reconnecting with that which makes my heart sing. My gifts are needed, and I'm reigniting them right now. So, my luminary friends, just know that you are not behind. You are not too late. It's never too late. Now is your time. Today is your time. The seeds of solution that live within you are willing to grow. They're ready to sprout right now. They just need your support and your encouragement to water them and foster them and pull out the weeds and let them grow and flourish. Let them guide your path. The sacrifice hijacker, where you put yourself last and play the game and swim with the sharks, we don't need that voice in the head anymore that tells us there's only one way, and the way we've always done it is the way we always have to do it. No, we can have a new way of living life. And I just imagine a world where so many luminaries, male and female, are coming forward with these solutions, stepping into the leadership that they naturally have. And that could be as small a scale as your family or as large a scale as a global position. It's not the magnitude that's important. It's that whatever the piece is that's yours, that you put your piece in the puzzle. So I want you to have a beautiful weekend, and I'm looking forward to talking to you next week. And in the meantime, I want you to defy the default and live a life on fire. Bye for now. Big hugs, big love.